woman lashes out, refuses to answer to police. Well, that sounds somewhat odd, a white woman refusing to answer to police. But at any rate, let's start with the video.
She rear-ended him because he was sitting at a light that was green, and then I'm trying to talk to and just calm her down, and she's like, "Officer, I have to go!
You can't leave yet! Don't leave!
I'm in the middle of an order! I have food in my car! I have food in my car!
You need to calm down!
I have food in my car!
Ma'am, you need to calm down!
Food in my car!
Stand over here.
Babe, you need to get here! You need to get here!
You can go.
Okay, thank you.
Kayla, what happened?
Get here now! Because these cops are pissing me the off!
Kayla, you're not going anywhere.
He wouldn't let.
Hey.
There was a green light!
There's
and he didn't go!
Axe.
He didn't have to go to work!
Okay, well, you're not going anywhere.
I'm not going
Chris,
anywhere!
get over here.
I'm not going anywhere!
Well, you
My insurance is through a different state!
You know what? Let me moonwalk that back. It sounds exactly on par with what we're used to here. In this case, the white woman screaming, boy, that pitch, at police who do not overreact. They stay cool and calm. They don't tackle her. No pepper spray, no guns drawn. Let's give you the details. Body cam footage. 2 minutes. It reveals the white woman yelling at police officers in a deranged manner. I think that's fair, as law enforcement was trying to calm her down to get information about the car accident she'd been involved in. In the TikTok post from about a week ago, the woman constantly blared at the cops who arrived on scene of the crash, telling them that she was in the middle of an order, as they continuously tried, sound like they begged, they pleaded, to convince her to stay at the scene. You know, you convince, beg, plead is really what it was, as we all could hear. Now, numerous users on the app, when they commented on the clip, noting how the heated interaction that happened September 25th, 2023 in Marshfield, Wisconsin, went on entirely too long, despite law enforcement letting the woman have a temper tantrum for an extended amount of time. Kayla was ultimately charged with disorderly conduct for her behavior. That's according to Lens of Law, at least body cam videos on YouTube. Lana Blackstar contributing to the details here. Now, she was completely non-compliant with the orders as the police asked her to stand in a certain spot while she stormed off and told them, quote, "Leave me alone." Kayla ran off, paced back and forth, talking on the phone, telling someone, "You need to effing get here." That time, police officers even dismissed someone else in the area who asked, with a confused and calm tone, if they could leave. All the while, the distraught delivery driver continued to pace up and down a sidewalk while talking to someone on the phone with a tense demeanor. Other woman who was allowed to leave may have been the third driver involved in the accident, as the body cam footage showed an officer walking up to a motorist behind the wheel of a pickup truck that was pulled over to the side of the road before asking what happened. Quote, "Light turned green. There was a car in front of me, and all of a sudden, I got hit from behind," he quickly explained while still sitting in his vehicle. "And then I pulled over here." While officers approached Kayla using her name, attempting to get her side of the story, she was still pacing that sidewalk, shrieking at someone on the phone. "Dude, these cops are pissing me the F off," she screamed. As she said that, Kayla tried to walk toward her car. An officer simply told her that she wasn't going anywhere before she snatched her arm away from him and darted in the other direction. If white privilege was a video, would this be it? Have we seen worse? He repeated himself with a laugh because, of course, this is funny. It's very funny, right? Telling her she wasn't allowed to go anywhere. At that point, the cop tells Kayla that he will detain her before she yells at him to stop. The officer even asked her politely, "Hey, why you're running away from me?" At every opportunity, he approached her. He wouldn't effing let. It was a green light, she roared back. He didn't even go. Cop continued to try to calm her, soothe her, I would say, by saying, hey, a couple of times, as she screeched with anger. And he went on to softly tell her that the situation was an accident. It's okay. It's my interpretation. Two officers stood around the area she was in on the sidewalk. No one had touched or restrained her in any way, according to the body cam recording. They went on to tell Kayla that they were simply trying to gather information from her about the crash so we can get you out of here. One of the cops added, this is like Chappelle's show. Is Dave Chappelle authoring this? Holding her head in distress, still walking away from the police, Kayla declared that her car was, quote, effed. Told the officers that she just wanted to see if it would start up due to its condition as she quickly walked over to her driver's side door. You're not starting the car, an officer said, while trying to take Kayla's hand off of her door handle. She was still frenzied. Wasn't until then that she began to apologize as she fell to the ground, though the cop had already backed away from her. While sitting on the ground next to her car on the road where vehicles were passing by, she hollered, please get here, please. Cops are trying to arrest me. We should add, the police immediately assured her they didn't come on to the scene of the accident to arrest her. Not what we're here for, you're a white woman. I added that. Kayla resorted to wailing without words before the two cops simply looked at each other with puzzled expressions. No fear, huh? They didn't pat her down or anything, make sure she wasn't hacking? In between shrieks, they tried to ask her if she'd move from sitting on the road, to which she said she would not. Kayla repeatedly bawled at someone she was talking to on the phone, telling them to get here now. Very demanding, she is. The officers told her they were only there to conduct an accident investigation. This could be solved very, cop started before she cut him off, telling him, F off. Once a cop whispered to the other that they would have to arrest her, she cursed while saying that she didn't do anything, standing up and trying to get into her automobile again. While she shrilled loudly, the officers begged her to get out of the street before she belted F in their direction. Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
I initially read this and I thought, well, this is satire. Maybe this is from The Onion, but we do have crack producers here, and I think they do their due diligence. It's a real story. This is a white woman making deliveries who was inconvenienced by crashing into the back of someone else. What do you make of the enormous restraint here, these officers?
Well, I would love to commend police restraint, but you only see it at certain times. So I'm not going to commend it. It's almost reprehensible. I guess it is in a way when you see the way she's behaving. I'm glad that it ended in some kind of an arrest and there were some charges. I can't help but think that this entire video should be a DoorDash ad or an Uber Eats ad. It's like, no matter what, the most important thing is your food, and our drivers will resist police. They'll do anything. They'll crash into the back of cars to get you your hot meal. So there is the other side of that. But honestly, it is. I don't think it's the worst example of this. Every example you watch is the worst example at that moment. But I do think that this belongs in the pantheon, and it belongs in a look at what the double standard is in policing and how different segments of our society are policed. And this clearly shows that if this woman were anything but white, and I don't know where this took place, anyone but white, I think that we all know how it would have gone down. And I'm not presuming there would have been violence or anything, but there certainly would have been action, and there would have been action much more quickly.
Yeah, there would have been action, all right. And I think that it's time for repercussions. And maybe you'll say, oh, Sharon, that's going too far. But if it were me and I was the chief here, I would immediately suspend these officers. And let me tell you why. They put their own lives in danger, perhaps endangered the life of this perp. She's in the middle of the roadway, or she's close to the roadway. Cars are whizzing by. she's attempting to basically flee the investigation, and they do nothing. This is how, if we're to believe all the police offerings over the years, this is how people die. This job, at any moment, you might not come home to your family. I'd have to remove them from the street. I actually mean that. They've got to come off of the street and be retrained, and I've got to note it in their files. Have I gone too far?
I mean, I don't know that you've gone too far. Listen, I think that a lot of the arguments you hear is that police are trained in assessing a situation. Well, if it works in the inverse, it has to work in this case as well, right? I mean, if you assess a situation and you go too far with one segment of the population, and then you assess the situation and you don't go far enough with another, there has to be some kind of, at the very least, retraining. And I don't know that they should be fired for this, because I do think that this probably happens much more than we think. I think there has to be a retraining of some sort. I don't think, I guess what I'm saying, Sharon, is that this rises to the, I don't want to demean the cases that are far more serious, where there is a double standard and you see it exhibited in ways that are far more dangerous and more blatant, especially with a perpetrator who is seemingly far more dangerous. So I don't know that I go as far as you do, but I'm as upset, I think, as you are.
Yeah, not many people take it. There's this meme that says, I'm good, but I don't bother anybody unless somebody bothers me, and then I take it too far, and that's probably me.
Well, I know
that meme?
look, it's a reasonable argument to be made.
Yeah.
I don't want to be dismissive of it. I think that sometimes if you go too far with one, it kind of, like, there are so many more that are far more egregious than this that we've seen, and so that's why I say it in that way, is that I think it's worth mentioning and showing and discussing and learning from. But I just don't think that I don't want to take away from how bad so many of the other examples are in both. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You want to be rational. I just want to be all over the place. But I think you're probably right. I just think you can't have it both ways. Either police are being hunted and it's a dangerous job and we have protocols we have to follow and we can't deviate. And that's why sometimes people die or they get clubbed over the head with a flashlight or something. Or it's all good and an Uber Eats or DoorDash driver can shriek at you and tell you to F off, and nothing should be done about it. But that's just me. Like I said,
think they would just say she was arrested for disorderly conduct, and there you go. I mean, her day did not a whole lot better than that. So.
I bet you the charges would drop. But that, again, I have no evidence of that.
Yeah,
We'll stay on it. Okay.